Hello and welcome to this week's episode of You Talk It, We Live It. This week we have the pleasure of speaking with the president of Amalgamated Transit Union 757, Shirley Block. President Block, welcome to our show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Shirley Block. I've been in transit for 42 years. I've started out in a nursing profession and at transit, and then I went for driver, both part-time driver, full-time driver, fare inspector, road supervisor, road operations coordinator, to field operations coordinator. And then in 2015, I was elected president, first female president for ATU 757 in 2015. And this is my second term as president, going on almost 6 years.
Well, sounds like you've had a wonderful career there. Can you tell me, of all the jobs that you've had at TriMet, which did you enjoy the most and which did you enjoy the least and why?
The one I enjoyed the most was field operations coordinator. The one that I enjoyed the least was bus operator because it's a lot of stress on the body. A lot of dangers involved when people don't really realize that. But a bus operator not only have to take care of themselves, they have to look out for their passengers. They have to watch the road all the time for not only for their safety of a 40-foot bus, but also as operating cars and trucks and bicycles, pedestrians all around them. So they are constantly in a high stress job.
And can you tell me a little bit about the one that you like the best? What I don't really know that much about what a field operations coordinator does. So maybe you can expand on what that person does at TriMet.
When I worked in that position, I did a lot of bus reroutes when construction was on the road, installing, going out, getting locations for signs to be installed. When the supervisor bring a report in, I deal with that. Special events, every special event that came to town, I was involved in it. Matter of fact, when I was in there, I helped and assisted in the construction for every rail line that was out there. I also dealt with a lot of customer complaints that came through, and I kind of like work hand in hand with customer service who got customer complaints that came in. Part of that was investigations for FOC. It was just a whole conglomerate of things that you get your hands in.
Thank you. Well, I can understand why it was certainly a better job for you than the one of the bus operator. So totally understandable.
And I love my bus operators, both bus and rail, because it's like a family. It's like a family. Even though TriMet has grown so big, we still look at each other as family members because we know how we come in the morning and it's a rush to get your assignment, get your bus, always be on time. We know when the weather changed, like now we're going into the winter months. It's really, really stressful out there because you have hazards on the road with the ice and snow and stuff. So you have to deal with that. That's added stress. The rail operators, they are constantly running the trains to keep the icing off the overhead side wires and the slipping, and you have to be careful when you step out of those trains on those platforms. It's like I said, the average person, they don't compare a bus operator or rail operator to be stressful because you can be in a crowd of people out on the streets. If an ambulance go by, people look at it, they go like, oh, wow, they're in a stressful job. Fire truck go by, they look at it, oh, man, that's so neat, a fire truck, a stressful police car. But they see a 40-foot bus, they think nothing of it, except they just say, it's a bus.
Yeah, well, thank you for explaining all the intricacies of driving a bus and what all that entails. I've been a bus passenger many times from the time when the fare was 35 cents when I came to Portland in 74. That's what it was. I used to ride the River Road bus number 34 was right in front of my house. And, and I never would have dreamed that it could have been so stressful for the bus driver.
I drove right by your house on many a days.
Oh, really? You drove number 34, the river? Well, maybe you were the driver one time when I was on the bus. Who knows? And then I'll tell you a funny story. I came back. I took a trip back to the East Coast and I was gone for like about a month. And then I came back and I did not know the fare had changed. And I kept putting, back in those days, you put the coins in the little coin box. And I kept putting in 35 cents in after I'd been gone for a month. And finally, after a few days of this, the bus driver said, well, the fare is now whatever it rose to, 50 cents or whatever it was. And I felt so embarrassed that I had no idea that the fare had risen to the higher amount. And I was still putting in the 35 cents every day I got on the bus.
I tell when I go to the orientations, because I do orientations to the new hire employees that come to TriMet, and I tell them all the time, I said, you are a fare informer, not a fare enforcer. Don't get into conflicts about a fare. Just say, good morning, good afternoon, good night, and try to get that bus down the road as safely as possible.